if, due to the income tax cuts, the state comes up short of funds, Governor Brownback has indicated that the state may have to increase the state sales tax. So I am reminded that we passed a 1% sales tax during the recession in order to fund state government, and that the governor has recently said that we should adopt a wait-and-see attitude about whether or not to allow that 1% sales tax to expire. So could you address two parts about sales tax? One, should we sustain that 1% sales tax that was adopted for the recession? And secondly, if not sales tax, then are you in favor of increased property taxes? Because that's all that's left.
I do find it really very interesting that the same people that criticized me with regard to being a party to enacting the 1-cent sales tax are some of the very ones now that are wanting us to sustain it. I worked very closely. Actually, I was on the tax committee at that point in time, and I, with one of my Democratic colleagues, were really the ones in the House that worked with the Senate Democrat and Republican parties to come up with a solution and to get that 1-cent sales tax passed. I think, as you probably remember, in Governor Parkinson's State of the State, that was his initial recommendation with regard to what we need to do in order to fund the state, get the state coffers filled again. At that point in time, the agreement was, of course, to allow the sales tax to go away at the end of 3 years, which would be July of 2013, except for 4/10 of that, which was always designated to stay with the Transportation Department. I will not be voting for that. I made a pledge to my constituency that that tax would end, and so it's unfortunate to me that they are wanting to do that, but they are, but you will not see me doing that. Am I for property tax? No, I'm not for property tax. And do I have concerns that potentially that could happen if the 1-cent sales tax is not sustained? Yes, but a pledge is a pledge, a commitment is a commitment, and so I will not be voting for the extension of that tax.
My solution would be to get rid of this income tax cut that was passed, but as I said earlier, I don't have high hopes that that's going to happen in the next 2 years. So if it doesn't, we got to do something to fund the schools and the highways and the people with disabilities that need services. We got to do something. So if we're not for sales tax and we're not for property tax and we can't get the income tax back to where it was, I don't know how we're going to pay for it. So I'd love to get rid of the income tax bill that was passed, but if we can't do that, and I don't think we will, I think the income tax situation is going to get even worse because the governor wants to eliminate income tax altogether. I don't love funding things with the sales tax. I don't love funding things with the property tax. Those taxes are regressive. They're already pretty high in Kansas. They hit seniors in the middle class the hardest. But if the choices are extend the 1-cent sales tax or raise sales taxes or raise property taxes versus more cuts to schools, highways, infrastructure, and services for seniors and people with disabilities and health care, I'm going to look at the sales of property taxes. So the only promise I'm making is that if the income tax plan does not get shrunken down or repealed, I will look at everything that is on the table and vote for the most politically viable option to spare the schools and the services from further cuts, and that may include extension of the 1-cent sales tax if it's the best option on the table.